Well, good Sunday morning to you. Glad you guys are here with us. We are very excited about today. Very excited about um, just all that is today. It is a special Sunday for us. A lot of things going on in the city today. We got some of our folks down at the Colorado Black Arts Festival, and this is a special Sunday for me because it is pre-anniversary Sunday for us. Tomorrow, we get to celebrate. Jamie and I are celebrating 24 years of marriage, and we're excited. Excited about that. Until today's special broadcast that we're doing is going to be focused on that. It's going to talk about. 24 years of marriage. It's going to talk about, we've been doing the summer series. Those of you who've been with us in person, those of you who join us virtually, we're also sharing this on our personal Facebook page this week because of the importance of celebrating 24 years of marriage and 24 years. We're going to 24 years of ups and downs and good times and better times and all that good stuff. So we're going to talk about that today and have a real conversation about that. Want to say again, good morning to everybody. Good morning to everybody, and just it's good to be alive. Good to be alive. Good to be seen. Good to be. And my brother already got me. Some of you can probably notice I got some coloring in my beard today. My daughters. This was that when you have daughters who just, hey, Dad, let's try it, right? And so my daughter Lily, she likes to color everything, color hair and nails and makeup and all that kind of stuff. And so she convinced me the other day that she wanted to dye my gray hair. And so it's, you can see it's still shades of pink. It's supposed to be a fuchsia, I guess, are still there. So y'all can thank Lily for that. Um, this amazing look that I got going on today. That's a part of it. That's part of the 24 years that we'll talk about, just the 24 years of not just marriage, but 24 years of family. This series that we've been doing this summer has all been about your family matters and how important it is for us to prioritize our families and prioritize time as a couple, time with our children. If you have pets, time with your pets. All of those things that make your household great. We've been talking about the fact that there's so many things that pull and tug at our family. So many things that pull at our time together, and it is important that we don't let those things pull you apart. We don't let those things cause just breaks and harm and all that good stuff. So we're gonna talk about that again today. I have a couple videos, a couple tribute things that I'm gonna share with my wife, share about my wife and my kids. But most importantly, 24 years of marriage. Let me just tell you, somebody says Jamie gets extra credit when she gets to heaven one day, long from now, and they'll say, "Oh, you were married to Vernon." Welcome. And it's like that, and we laugh about it. It's it's marriage is not easy for anyone, but it is. I would not trade it. I would not trade anything that we've gone through, been through for a redo. Right. I think that what we've experienced is great, and a lot of stories to tell, and we'll tell some of those today. And we are grateful for all of the people that have poured into our lives from day one to this day, and those who continue to pour in, and those who continue to come alongside us and support us in our marriage, but also in just life endeavors. So excited about talking about that today. Like we said, we've got some things that we'll share, and it should be fun. It's just going to be, like I said, we've got folks that are out serving today. It's Gospel Sunday at the Colorado Black Arts Festival, so we have folks there, and so we're excited about that. Get out to that today. I think that they start the stage there maybe at noon, so folks are out there now. So get out there, and let's see. Let's have a good day. Let me share a little bit more of this series that we've been talking about here with Your Family Matters. Yes, and so that's what we believe. Like your family, and we said they come in all different configurations. Your family, in our view, is a vehicle for God to bless the world. That we look at it and we say, how is our family blessing the world? How are we blessing the community in which we live? For us, how are we blessing the faith community that we're part of in our church? How are we being a blessing to the schools that we attend? We fundamentally believe that we are to be a blessing. That through our family, great things are supposed to happen, not just for us, but for the people around us. And so, 24 years of marriage, and let me just tell you, we've Mrs. Jones has been through it with me. We met in high school, and so we're what they call high school sweethearts. And it's so we've 24 years of marriage and 28 years of being in friendship, relationship, all that good stuff. And that was critical to it. I think that's the when people ask me about our relationship, I think the biggest thing that I always start with is that Jamie and I, at the foundation of it all, we're really great friends. We really do like each other. But that's marriage, you get on each other's nerves, but we do really like each other. And I think that's the thing that drives you crazy, right? After you've been with somebody 24 years and 28 years of your life, you shared that with them. um it drives you crazy because you do like the person, even with all of their quirks and stuff that, as Jamie would say, sometimes I get on her nerves, but then I always know that I can get out of trouble if I can make her laugh, right? Because that's what's been my saving grace, for our uh, that has been my saving grace for all of our marriage and even in our relationship, just laughter, right? I'm laughing at some of the comments that folks are putting in today that, of course, Miss Jamie's friends show up when you do virtual, and they're in the comments today, as some say, she deserves a special place in heaven. Um, Funny. But that's the thing is too, is that we started out as friends. We got to know each other, and let me just say this too: the whole getting to know each other part too, and um, what you learn in 24 years of marriage is that it's not like I get married to you because I know you, right? I get married to you because I want to continue to get to know you, because you change. Like as you age and different circumstances happen in life, you become a different person and you change, you mature, and some viewpoints that you had before, not the viewpoints that you hold now. And marriage is this commitment to say, hey, let me grow with you, and let me love who you, not just who you are, but who you will become. Um, and that's the fun part too, and it's sometimes the hard part, because sometimes you can be stuck in an earlier part of a relationship, and you've grown past that, or somebody's not, so you have to accept that, who you get into a relationship with, or you get into marriage with, you're going to change because life changes. We were, like I said, we were high school sweethearts, and the people that we were in high school, we're not those people now. I mean, there's some, like I said, some um, characteristics that we still have, as far as like, still silly, and all this kind of stuff, and still, laugh at some of the same movies that we did. But as far as like the person that we are, I mean, there's a different level of wisdom, there's a different level of maturity, there's a different level of, life has happened, right? And so one of those things that has helped our relationship, is we've given space. I believe, sometimes we've been better at it than other times, but we've given space for each other to become who we are today, and to do that together. To say, okay, who are we? Who are we now? Who are we? How do I see things? I mean, we talk about this a lot. Is that in our relationship, we we're different. Once we had our first child, Savannah, we became different, right? Like we weren't that same giggly, high school couple and all that kind of stuff. But then you introduce a child into the mix, and then I had to get to know Jamie differently, as who is she now? Yes, she's my wife, but who is she now, as a mother, right? And she had to say, okay, yeah, I love Vernon as my husband, but who is he now also as a father, right? And it is a process that you have to say, okay, now let me keep learning. And I think that's where you see um, relationships thrive, when you are open to the fact that love is learning, that love is this constant learning of the other person. It's the constant growing with the other person, and knowing, like, okay, I'll say, when we first got married, um, I was working at Nextel Communications, and who I was then, and even that, learning who is he when he's working at this place, and he's putting in these hours to help make sure that we have the things that we need. And um, ever since, the whole time from um, this point to that point, okay, we've got a job, we got these things going on, and we're learning each other. But then what happens? Who is he when he loses a job? Because in our marriage, I've lost a job, right? And so then who is that person now? And you have to learn that person. Or in our relationship, we were talking about this Roe versus Wade stuff that has happened in our country, and that's not what this is about today. But I'm using this as a quick example, and we can talk about that. But when Jamie gave me permission to share this, but when Jamie had an ectopic pregnancy that was about 20 years ago, an ectopic pregnancy, and could have taken her life. It was it's crazy that Jamie went through what she went through, and then we had a friend who went through the exact same thing, and our friend's son, his son's fiance, she didn't survive the ectopic pregnancy. Similar situation that Jamie went through. Um, by God's grace, we were able to get Jamie into the hospital, and they had to perform the procedure, which by today's standards is technically called an abortion, right? But she had an ectopic pregnancy, or tubal pregnancy, and the fetus starts to grow and expand in the tube, and then ultimately can burst, and it causes death. And so we went through that, and then you had to say, okay, well, who are we in that moment, right? Like, never been through this before. We've had kids, so we understand this, but how do we deal with when we do this project, and who are we now, who is she now? um, and it's learning. Love is learning, and I think that that's everything that you go through. It's about love is learning. Like, who is this person now to me, and uh, what are they going through, and what do they need, right? And my job is to learn them so I can love them. And I think that's the thing that's kind of that's helped us a lot, is to be open to consistently learning each other. So 24 years of marriage. We've been blessed. We'll talk about this a little bit. We've been blessed with 5 amazing children that have made marriage um, great, has made our family great, right? But also has made marriage challenging, because those of you who have kids, and even if you have pets, right? They can sometimes take some attention away from the relationship, right? And you can forget about, as the video said before, you can sometimes put off the date nights, you can put off the time that you need together. And we had to really discipline ourselves to do that. We had to really, and we still, as we would say, we're not perfect at it. um, but we've had seasons where we were great at it. We had seasons where we had other couples that we would hang out with, and then they moved to Virginia. um, but we would prioritize that. And some seasons better than others, depending on what was going on in the lives of our kids, what was going on in the lives of the church, the work that we do. We were better at it, and I think you have to give yourself grace for that. I mean, um, that if you're just not, if you're looking for a relationship, and there's not going to be like, if you're looking for perfection in it's just that, the one, you're setting yourself for failure. I mean, if you're looking for, like, we're gonna go out on every day, every Friday for date night, that's great. Like, I'm not against that. Do it, but give yourself grace if you miss a Friday, right? Give yourself grace if you're late. Like, if you're planning it's at 7 and it doesn't go, and you didn't get started till 8:30, give yourself grace, because those things, those things can start to add up and they become like negative things in your relationship, they become, you know, they make a mountain out of a molehill, right? And you're like, oh my God, we missed this Friday. You got to give each other grace, and communication about that is key. All those stuff that you fundamentally know. Um, but yeah, I told myself I'm going to try to get through this first part because I know I'll cry if I start to kind of talk about Jay specifically. So I'm trying to talk about us in general, to get through this first part because it is. I'm telling you, it's a we've been through some stuff, and it's a blessing to be a partner with her in this life, and to be her husband, and to be her friend. Um, and to be a pain in her behind. All of that's a blessing for me, and she's the same for me. I mean, she's the one that she will keep me in, focused, encouraged, and sometimes the encouragement comes in different ways, and it manifests itself in different ways. Sometimes the argument actually encourages. Sometimes the you know it just does, right? Like, okay, whatever, okay, then you step back and you see things, you're like, okay, and I'm going to say that she was right, and that doesn't happen too often. So. But anyways, 24 years of marriage, and we're going to talk to you about how do you get there. um how do you get to 24 years and still smiling? And even if you're not smiling, how do you get through the tears? How do you get through some pain? Because we've been there too. I mean, you talk about we lost jobs, we've lost a house, right? We've gone through some stuff. I remember, Jamie's every job I've had, she's been right there side by side, and we made a commitment early in our marriage, and I think I shared this before. Is like we were dating, and Jamie told me. I just hope you know that if you want to marry me, I want to, and we're going to have kids. I want to prioritize kids, and I want to be able to stay home with them and give them what they need. And so you're going to have to, do what you need to do. And me as a teenager, young man, of course, I'd like say anything for this beautiful lady. I was like, yeah, no problem, I got that, right. And so she set that expectation early, and that has been one of our commitments. And so I primarily have been our single earner for our family, and that has brought its own challenges, right? And because if my income changes, it's like the whole thing kind of dominoes. If I lose a job, the whole thing kind of dominoes, and so that's why we tried to make sure that we are in stable situations. If I lose my health benefits, it's not just me that's impacted, it's the whole family. So there's a lot of pressure with that. But when we look back at the decisions that we made to do that, and I look at our 5 kids and the great work that Jamie has done, I mean, not to say that I've been an absent father, but I've been, because y'all know I love my kids, very present in their lives. But I do say that part of what has made our kids as successful and as happy as they are in life, minus the teenage stuff, right, that they go through. But it's because Jamie's been there for them, and she loves them, and she's their go to, and that was a commitment that we made as a couple, and I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful that we um, prioritized our kids, and she's made a lot of sacrifices. She's made a lot of sacrifices for things that we may have wanted to do, places we may have wanted to go. But as a couple, we decided to sacrifice that and say the most important thing is that if we can see these 5 kids, uh, I said I wasn't going to cry yet, but if we can see our 5 kids thriving, and we can see our 5 kids doing things that we've never done, going places that we've never been, you know, um, going to graduate school and getting their dreams, and those are the things that we prioritize um, early in our relationship. And by God's grace, we're getting to see a lot of those things manifest, and it's making everything worth it. Um, and that's how I feel at 24 years in. Is like, boy, whew, if we could tell you every story. Jamie and I write a book, and y'all be like, "What? Y'all went through what? Y'all did? They did what?" 24 years in, and I am thanking God for the manifestation of his faithfulness, right? And we see it in the lives of our kids. And we are grateful for Savannah and Nathan and Caleb and Lily and Brooklyn. We're grateful for what we see happen in their lives. And I think again, it started with our commitment to each other. Started with our commitment to saying, hey, um, let's lean in, let's love, let's figure out, let's learn each other. And it's been great. It's been great. So how do we get there? Right? How do we get there? How do we get there? And how do we experience a love that will last, a love that will endure, a love that will stand the test of time? And my grandparents were married 63 years. Um, Mom and dad were married over 30 years. And so my uncle Mark and Aunt Sandy just celebrated 40 years. And so we look at these things, and so there's some longevity in our family. And there's also, our family's not, we're not exempt from the trials that come from relationships. And we've seen pains of divorce. We've seen all of that. And so it's not anything that we take for granted, like this relationship stuff, that we don't take it for granted, because we know that it's delicate, right? It's delicate. It's constantly under attack, right? There's these pulls and these tugs and these yanks, and there are things that happen uh, that push you. I'm telling you, that push you to the edge. We've been there, right? In 24 years, we've had moments. And so we'll talk about that. We want to briefly talk about that today. How do you do that? How do you endure? And so let's see. Grateful for that. Love never fails. I wonder, y'all have attended a wedding. You probably heard 1 Corinthians 13 read, and you hear people talk about, oh, love that, love, the love chapter. You hear it all the time. And what does that mean? What does that look like, right? And that's what I want to give you, as we've been talking about this series all summer, um, is that like peek into, like, what does that really look like in a 24-year marriage, where you have 5 kids and you've got all these pets and you got all this stuff going on in your life, where you've had, jobs, or you've had lost jobs, or you've had homes and you lost homes, or you lost a home, and you have had income shifts, and you've had seasons of plenty, and you've had seasons of lack, and you've had seasons of, oh my God, what are we going to do? Right. How do you, and it's it's a bunch. So let me read this really quick. Um, if I speak human or angelic tongues, but do not have love, I'm a noisy gong or a clanging cymbal. If I have the gift of prophecy and understand all mysteries and all knowledge, and if I have all faith so that I can move mountains, but do not have love, I am nothing. If I give if I give away all my possessions, and I give over my body in order to boast, but do not have love, I gain nothing. Love is patient. Love is kind. Love does not envy. Love is not boastful. Love is not arrogant. It is not rude. It is not self-seeking. It's not irritable. It does not keep a record of wrong. Love finds no joy in unrighteousness, but love rejoices in the truth. Love bears all things. Love believes all things. Love hopes all things. Love endures all things. Love never fails. So you read that and it all sounds great, right? Rainbow sunshines. It all sounds great. I mean, everybody wants to, we believe that, right? And it's true, right? It's true. And it's the challenge is how many times in a 24-year marriage do you not operate in love, right? And it happens, right? We're an open book, right? We are an open book with our kids. We're open book with our congregation, with the folks that we serve. How many times do you not operate in love? How many times do you just, because you're tired, right? It's kind of like y'all. Some of you guys get hangry, right? Y'all know that. Everybody, I think everybody in my family gets hangry. Like we haven't been fed. We like those. We like those gremlins, man. You got to feed us, or we gonna turn into something, right? But all of us have moments where it's like, wait, I'm not operating in love. Wait a second. What is this over here that I'm operating in? And it happens. And you have to check yourself. You have to be able to take a deep breath. I think it was another day we had not even a disagreement. I think it was just something that happened over text. Let me just tell you, text messaging, worst form of communication, I believe, with couples, because everything gets lost in translation, right? Because you don't know, the one thing about text messages, you don't know the real posture that the other person is in. And so you could be texting something, and if that person's in a different posture, something that you meant positively, or maybe, like, because in our relationship, like I said, we joke a lot, maybe something that you sent as a joke, because you can't read the room in a text, it doesn't go over that well. And so we had like a moment like that, and I had to step back and um, process and say, wait, are you going to respond in love, or are you going to respond some way, in another way, right? What are you going to do, right? And so this is like, this doesn't just naturally happen. It does become your natural default simply because you commit to a relationship, you say I do. It's not something, oh, well, we're always going to be loving, oh, we're always going to be kind, oh, we're always going to be patient, we're going to always not be rude. Come on now, right? We're gonna always, we're gonna always not be arrogant, we're not going to think about ourselves, we're always going to put the other person first, right? That's all the stuff that sounds good. And goodness, God bless you if that's what you maintain. And we just have to take a deep breath. I mean, and breathe and say, okay, wait a second. How do I want? And you have to ask yourself, how do I want to respond? How do I want to engage in this moment? And that's on the individual, right? As we've been talking about in this whole series, it really comes down to the individual, and the individual saying, okay, Vernon, are you going to operate in love in this situation, in this moment, in this, you might be having a disagreement, right? And you might, you know, somebody's got to choose love in the moment. And that's what happens when in relationships, that you you get two people who may have a disagreement, and you um don't process it. So you're both not operating in love, and that thing just escalates, right? And the issue was like this, but then because you're not operating in love, this thing just escalates, and then this thing explodes, and then you find yourself in a situation where you're like, what the heck happened, right? And it's when we choose to not operate in love, and it happens. I mean, we've had, in 24 years, we've had a couple doozy arguments, right? We've had a, you know, I think, I've had my time on the couch, right, where had to sleep on the couch, and you know, because in that moment we were not operating in love, and it was like, you know what, whatever, right? That's what we, whatever, right? And it happens in relationships, but again, it goes back to the individual. It's like, some of the self-care techniques that we teach kids. Okay, let's pause and count to 10. A lot of times, I'm telling you, in my marriage, what has saved us from like the cliff is like pausing and saying, okay, count to 10, go for a drive, right? Walk, and really like reset yourself, not like fix the other person, but reset yourself. And then consider this love text and consider and said, okay, am I operating in love right now? Right? Am I engaging in this in a way that is loving? Right? Like I read this sometimes like this to convict myself. Um, when I go to verse 4 of chapter 13, I read it like this: Vernon is patient. Vernon is kind. Vernon does not envy. Vernon is not boastful. Vernon is not arrogant. Vernon is not rude. And so sometimes when I'm processing like an engagement that we've had over the last 24 years, and then I say, oh, I was rude, right? Like, oh, that was not operating in love. Vernon is not self seeking. Oh, I was just seeking me. This was all about me. And then I'm like convicted. And then like a puppy that's got his tail between his legs, I got to go back and say, look, forgive me, right? I apologize, right? That's critical. That's critical. Like, is that you got to reset you. You got to say, am I contributing to this relationship in a healthy way? And so that's what it's been. 24 years of self-evaluation, 24 years of saying, okay, how are we doing as two individuals that have come together and have begun to make a life together? How are we doing? And that changes with seasons. Like I shared, when you go through medical things where, Jamie just, I tell her, like with all the kids, well, with the not with the boys, but with all of the with Savannah and Lily particularly, um, her pregnancies with them were um, like challenging. Like, you just trying to get out of here. I mean, it was, and it's like, in those moments, like, you have to figure out like how do we love through that, and how do you? I mean, when you almost lose someone and you say, oh my goodness, and like, you know I've had my moments that where I've been in some hospitals situations, and how do I love him through this, and how do I lean in, and how do I help him through this? And I'm telling you, I mean, don't go in thinking that this is going to be sunshines and rainbows every day, because it's not. Because you're going to have life happens, right? The marriage ceremony is great. We have one of the best ceremonies, the best, receptions, the fun. I mean, the memories, they just still, I can still, they still are in my mind, and I can still anchor back into them. And that was great. And it was a celebration, and it should be, right? And then life happens, and your love has to endure the life happening, right? That you have to understand that when life happens, Vernon is patient. Vernon is kind. Vernon does not, right? And you have to say, okay, that is love. That is the manifestation of love, is that no matter what's happening, I choose to operate in love. And so that's been critical. That's been critical for us, is to be able to say, no matter what is happening to us, no matter what we're going through, let's operate in love. I remember that there was a point where there was a job that I lost, that it was a sudden thing. We did not anticipate it. We did not plan for it. It was some, we don't anchor back into it. I'm sharing this as an example of just what love does. My wife, Jamie was on the other side of town, and I called her and I said, da 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 da, this is what happened, and this is what they're saying. I've got such and such time to do this, and I was messed up, right? As far as like, I was just emotionally messed up. I was like literally sobbing on the phone with her, and she was in a situation. I think at the time she was, because you guys know Jamie's an early childhood education teacher, and so she was working. And I when I called her and told her what was going on, I'm thinking like, one, I didn't know who else to call. Like that's it. That's the other thing. Is like, she's my default. Like, I'm calling her first. And before I knew it, like, she had got from one side of town all the way to another side of town, to where I was at. And along the way, got a speeding ticket, because you know love made her be in a hurry for me. right? And she heard me hurting, she heard me in pain, she heard what I was dealing with. And really, it wasn't just about me. Miss Jamie was also coming up there like, who did this to my husband, right? Like, who hurt him like this? Like, he loves everybody and he does right by everybody. Who did this to him? Like, she was really coming up there to fight. Y'all don't know. Miss Jones, she don't play, right? She don't play. She is a protector of her husband, and she's a protector of our family. And y'all talk about, people joke about mama bears and lioness and all this kind of stuff. Yeah, I got one, and she will let you know in her own kind of way, like, yeah, you done messed up. And so she comes, and we go through this, and we're packing up my office and putting everything to the van, and the whole time she sees my weakness in this moment. I'm distraught, right? And the whole time, she's being my strength, right? That whole time, she's leaning in, she's reaffirming me, she's reaffirming God's got us, and we're gonna be okay, and this stuff doesn't stop anything, and she knew, like, again, knowing that, like, I'm the primary earner for the family. In that moment, she knew, like, what this meant. She knew, like, what does it mean when he loses a job? It's very different. Like, it's and so she knew all that. And I knew she was carrying all that weight, but you wouldn't have known it, because in that moment, all she was worried about was loving me. She was worried about leaning in. She was not being selfish in that moment. She didn't come to that moment with, oh my God, what are you should just, what, you just can't go along to get along. She didn't come with any of that, right? She didn't come with any of that. She came with love, and she said, look, we're gonna be all right. And that matters, right? It matters that you show up with love. And so, again, love is patient, love is kind, love does not envy. I mean, look at your relationship now, and I guarantee you that the spaces where you see struggle is where you're not being patient with one another. I guarantee you where you're not being kind, and not being kind in actions, and in words and deed, right? That's where problems come up, when you're not operating in love. We've lived that, and we know that the moments that are the challenging ones are when we don't operate in love, when we step out of what love is, and we step over here into our flesh, and we step into our egos, and we step into all of those things that are contrary to love, right? If you go to the top of the text again, it says, look, I always tell this, oh, you can be smarty smarty. This is my paraphrase, and like the beginning, like, you can be smart and know all these different languages, you can be educated and all this kind of stuff, but if you don't know how to operate in love, it's just a bunch of noise, right? If you have all these gifts and talents and you don't know how to love people, it's just a circus, right? um, if you have all of this faith that you can do all this kind of stuff, and you big bad and whatever you want to say, but you don't have love, it doesn't matter, right? And so, 24 years of marriage, and we will tell you that it is what has gotten us through is this. Let me read furthermore in the text. Love never ends, but as far as prophecies, they will come to an end. As far as tongues, they will cease. As far as knowledge, it will come to an end. For we know in part and we prophesy in part, but when the perfect comes, the partial will come to an end. When I was a child, I spoke as a child. I thought like a child. I reasoned like a child. When I became a man, I put aside childish things. That's another thing that I tell folks. Love is mature, right? Love is a mature act, right? That this kind of love that we're talking about is something that you mature, you grow into, right? And your childish ways of being selfish, and your childish ways of mine. Y'all know the stuff. Those of you who raise kids, you know that they go through that phase, right? Where they are learning to share. They're learning to be kind. They're learning all these kind of things. They're learning love, right? It says, like, when I've matured, I put away childish things, right? And that's the thing, is that love is for grown folks. I tell folks that all the time that go through my, pre pre-marriage coaching, or relationship coaching, and I tell them love is for grown folks. And if you want to keep playing games, then you're gonna keep bouncing in the club. You're gonna keep doing this. You're gonna keep, whatever. That love is for grown folks. And when you're ready to love, then we can start talking about a lifetime, right? But as long as you want to play games, you ain't ready for love. As long as you want to be childish and do this, no, no, no. When you became a man, when you became an adult, and when you became a grown woman, when you became whatever, when you matured, and you're ready to love, right? Then you can talk about a lifetime. But until then, don't put nobody through that. Don't put nobody through that immaturity. Don't put nobody through that. So you got to learn, right? You got to learn and you got to grow and you got to be able to say, look, I wanna grow in this, right? I wanna move with this person and love in such a way. Um, put away some childish things, right? Yeah, you have to, right? Again, like I said, I'm not the same guy that I was when I was in high school. Childish, right? In high school, you're just figuring things out, and you're just silly, and you just And then even when you first get married, and we're in our 20s. Just I was in my 20s. Jamie was younger, and so I was 20. She was 18, and so um, here you are, um, still young adults trying to figure that out. And you got to grow up, right? You got to say, okay, love matures us. Love matures us. And when you operate in love, it does grow you up. It does grow you up. Some of the stuff that um, trips folks up, it doesn't trip you up when you're operating in love. And you kind of you you have to learn to say, okay, that's not a big deal. Why am I making a big deal about that? And you have to, like I said, you have to constantly check yourself. Um, you have to constantly, anchor into the fact that, yeah, love is a mature thing. Like I say, love is for grown folks. That's a T-shirt, right? So that's trademark. Uh, love is for grown folks, and so that's where we're at. 24 years of marriage, and there's a passage in Scripture we read last week when talking about in Colossians, and it's talking about husbands love your wives as Christ has loved the church, and um, this has always been like the not the hardest thing, but it has always been the honor that I've had is to look at the model of Christ and how Christ loved the church, and then parallel that with how I'm supposed to love Jamie, right? And boy, let me tell you, when I say love is for grown folks, love is for grown folks, right? Because those of you who understand um, the condition of the church, right? The state of the church, like it's not perfect, right? We're not perfect, and it's like Christ loves even in our imperfections. And then this challenge of loving your spouse, loving your wife as Christ has loved the church. It's loving through imperfections. It's loving through changes. It's loving through all these different kind of things, and not. Um, I'm trying to phrase it. Not a conditional love, right? It's that agape love. It's not um if this happens or if it looks this way or if that. No, 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 no. It's Christ has loved the church, right? In an agape way, in an unconditional way. And how do you love your spouse, your wife that way, and not become selfish, and not give it terms, and not give it like expectations. No, I just love you because you're you, right? Flaws and all, imperfections and all, I love you, right? And that's what I say to my wife. I love her, right? No matter what, no matter what she um we got a thing going on, right? Me and Mrs. Jones, right? uh she is, despite imperfections, despite whatever, I love her, and there's nothing that she has to do. There's nothing that she needs to do for me to love her, right? I love her, right? And the only way I'm able to do that is because that's how Christ feels about me. That's how Christ feels about the church. Like, he knows we messed up. He knows that we fall short. He knows that we deal with this battle of our of wanting to do right and then doing this over here. This wanting to be kind, but then also being rude. Like we deal with this back and forth. And guess what? We're still loved, right? And so that's how I love my wife. I just, no matter what. I mean, it's again. Um, and I think that's and to be transparent to, that's the hard part. Like, it's like, she getting on my nerves right now, or she getting on my nerves today. And this is, and I say, but man, I love her, right? Because I've been loved in such a way that I understand that my call is to love her that way. Um, and this whole thing of again, next week we close this series out. Actually, on the 20, no, we got 2 more weeks of this, and then we're going to do 2 weeks talking about what does it really mean to be when you talk about living in submission. Again, those kind of things are not a problem when you're talking about love, right? It's and submission is a mutual street, a two-way street between two folks, that we submit to each other, right. We submit as a family. We submit. I mean, submission is not. It's not about subjugation. It's not about one being greater than the other. It's about like leaning in and loving. It's leaning in and being able to flow together. And we'll talk more about that. But 24 years, I'm telling you, that's how we've been able to flow. We've been able uh, to be who we are today is through the ups and through the downs and through the good times and the bad times. Um, Look, let me just say this too, that I couldn't imagine going through this without somebody who understood God's love, right? Who understood like um because there's so many times where she's had to encourage me with that, like, Vernon, God's got us. He causes all things to work together for our good. Or there's been many a times where I'm like ready to tap out or ready to give up on something and say, oh my God, this has not happened yet, or why is it taking so long, or why can't this happen for us? I mean, we're trying to do all that we can do. We're trying to be this and do that, and it just seems like we just keep getting kicked in the teeth sometimes. And I said this, and here she comes with this, and let me just say this: we both played that role in each other's lives, because there's sometimes in seasons where Jamie's and stuck in that space, and she's like, "Oh my God, da 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 da, let's just get out of here," right? And then I have to be the encourager. This is where I talk about this mutual submission, this mutual role that we have in each other's lives when we're operating in love to lift each other up, because life can get you in a rut. Life can get you very in a rut. So I'm grateful for 24 years. I'm grateful for 24 years. There were some folks when Jamie and I first got engaged. Here I am, Baptist preacher, in our denomination, it's predominantly Black denomination, and in the folks that we fellowshiped with. And someone said to me, don't marry that white girl. Don't marry that white girl, right? And they said it in love. It was not. They were more concerned about the world that we would face and the difficulties we would face. They weren't. They love, because these people who said it love Jamie probably more than they love me. Um, but they were saying they were concerned. They were just like worried about the world. And let me just tell you, um, no better choice in my life than Jamie Jones. And it has just been an amazing journey with her, and I pray for at least 76 more years with her, and many more adventures with her, many more opportunities with her to learn each other, to live love, and to become all that God would have us to be. We're going through some challenging seasons even now, and it's so different when you're going through them operating in love. Like, it's a different weight. It's doesn't remove the challenge, but it's like a different weight. Like, you feel like, yeah, things have worked out. They always have, and they always will. And it's good to have somebody side by side you who believes that, right, and who leans into that and says, okay, God's got us, and we know that God has us, and um, everything that we set our hands to, He's going to bless, and um, everything that He's spoken to us will come to pass, and everything that He's spoken over our family, over our children, over our extended family, our nieces and nephews, God's going to bring it to pass, and it's 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 good to have someone like that with you along the journey. And so, um, 24 years of marriage. Jay, I want you to know I love you. I love you with all my heart, and I appreciate you. I'm grateful for you. Thank you for not only being my best friend, thank you for being my wife. Thank you for being my partner. Thank you for being my, my spell checker, my editor, my sounding board on all things. Thank you for, you know, um, leaning in and sometimes pulling away, and sometimes, checking and saying, thank you for the beautiful children that you are raising with me, and the gifts that they are, from Brooklyn all the way up to Savannah, Nathan, Caleb, and Lily. Um, Thank you for loving them and teaching them what love is. And so that when they are in a position to talk about a lifetime with somebody, they've already understand that love is for grown folks, and they are able to make that step to say, because they understand love, and they've seen it in our relationship. They've seen it manifest in good and bad. They've seen it pretty and they've seen it ugly. They've seen it nice and neat, and they've seen it messy, but they've seen love endure, right? And that's the thing of the text. It says love never fails, right? And boy, jobs fail, possessions fail, everything that you have, that you think that you can build a relationship on, it will let you down. But let me tell you what won't. Love won't. Love never fails. And I'm grateful for that. Man, look, me and Jamie we could probably, now we drive each other crazy, but if we had to, you know, um, we could probably, I'm laughing because she would hate it, because but we could live on a tent together, right? And we make it work. We could she won't go on a road trip with me. I've been trying to get her to go on a road trip with me. She don't like my driving, so she won't go on a she won't go on a road trip with me. I'm gonna try to get her, because I just want to do that. Then she don't want to fly, so I don't know how we gonna get anywhere. But anyways, um, yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing to for me to have been loved like this by a person for 24 years has been, um yeah, she's I love the comments. That's why I'm laughing at somebody says glamping. Glamping is that glamorous camping. She and her bougie friends like you, Pamela. Yeah, that's definitely what it's all about. I don't even know if she'd go glamping with me, because that would require me to drive. But that's wonderful. But look, to be loved by somebody for 24 years, with with my mistakes, with my flaws, with my weaknesses, with all of that, it is just a blessing to be loved that way. And some of you are experiencing that, and it's a blessing. And I want to reaffirm to you that it's a blessing, and you should not take it for granted. I got to watch my grandparents specifically for 63 years. And I didn't, not all 63 years, but I saw a good portion of those before my grandfather passed. 41 of those years I got to experience, right? And I got to see um, two people like my grandparents love each other, like that. I got to see my mom and my dad for nearly 30 years. I got to see them love each other like that. And what I'm grateful for is that I got to see some of the messiness too, that it wasn't always easy, because sometimes again, we step out of love, and by that I mean we start to operate differently than what love calls us to operate. And it's not we don't that's not this whole just romantic, um, what is it, eros kind of falling out of love, that kind. No, I mean we stop operating in love. It's love as a behavior. Love is how we are, right? And so you have moments when you aren't operating that way, and it makes it hard. And I saw that in my grandparents. I saw that in my parents. And guess what? I also saw them, you know, patch that stuff up, heal, and move on to better days, right? And that's it. That's it. Is that love never fails. and that's the blessing, that love never fails. And lean into that, and mature, right? Grow together, learn together, move in ways that will affirm love. So, to God be the glory. To God be the glory for 24 years of marriage. To God be the glory for the blessings that we've experienced. To God be the glory for the children that we've had, the experiences that we've had together. And again, looking forward to the next 24 years. Um, looking forward to what's next. I mean, even today, what's going to go on today? We got some things planned as a family, and just um, just grateful, and I'm grateful for Jamie, and I'm grateful for our life together. Let's see what's next. I know she says that sometimes. Like, what is this dude next? What's up? What's up next, Vernon? Where are we going? What's our next adventure? And we've got some that are going on, and we got some that we're trying to get started and off the ground. And um, but she's right there with me. I do have to celebrate her because you guys know she's like I said, she loves teaching, and she is going to be back to teaching in August. And so we're so excited. Bless you, sister Jennifer. But she's going to be back to teaching in August, and she's going to be working for Aurora Public Schools, and excited about that. That she's back in that space. She loves doing that, and now again, we operate in a way that, like, she understands, like, the third party, like, when our kids need us, that's it. We will stop everything, and we will adjust, and we will make moves to make that happen. And so we're at that space. She said, I'm not gonna say where. I'll text you where, Jennifer. I gotta protect Mrs. Jones. I don't need no crazy folks going to get her. Um, but I'll text you where. But she's in APS, and so excited about that. So I just want to say congratulations to her, because I know that was a big deal. We had been talking about it, and Brooke's getting ready to get into fourth grade, and she's doing great. And so she wanted to explore that again. And I said, yeah, let's go get it. Go get it. Go get your dream. Do what you want to do. And and also, just, again, like, when yeah, most definitely. As I'm responding to comments too, when changes happen in our household too, that's another thing. It's like when income changes happen with me and all this different kind of things. Jay's always stepped up and said, okay, like, how can I pitch in? How can I help? And we've always assessed, like, where are the kids at, what are their needs. And when you assess it, it's okay, good. Well, this is a good opportunity for us to explore this. And so it's always been, look, I'm telling you, love. It's all over. It's love, and love causes you to operate in healthy ways. And when you operate in love, you get to hear the great things that. I mean, just think about that. If that's your household, think about you. If you read it this way. So before I read it as Vernon the individual, but if you read it and you say things like, Jamie and Vernon are patient. Jamie and Vernon are kind. Jamie and Vernon do not envy. Jamie and Vernon are not boastful. Jamie and Vernon are not arrogant. Jamie and Vernon are not rude. Jamie and Vernon is not self-seeking. Jamie and Vernon are not irritable. Jamie and Vernon don't keep record of wrong. Jamie and Vernon don't find joy in unrighteousness, but they rejoice in the truth. Jamie and Vernon bear all things. Jamie and Vernon believe all things. Jamie and Vernon hope all things. Jamie and Vernon endure all things. Jamie and Vernon never fail. That sounds like a great relationship, right? And that's what it's supposed to look like for all of us. Those of us who lean into relationship and lean in with love, that's what it's supposed to look like. So, to my beautiful bride of 24 years, I love you. Thank you for, again, the blessing of being your husband, you being your friend, and for sharing this journey with you. My daughter Savannah always reminds me to make the pitch. Like, we do some great coaching with couples, and do some our son Nathan and our daughter Santana, they're married, and they are a month or two, almost 2 months in, and they are doing great. They get to go through our some of the pre-marriage and relationship coaching that we do. And so reach out if you are in that space where you want to do some grown folk things, right? Where you want to step into this love arena, and you want to um, move your relationship to there. Or if you want to assess and say, like, am I wasting my time with this? Because that's another thing too that we talk about. Like, you, if love is a mature thing and you are hanging around with an immature thing, then all you're doing is setting yourself up for pain, right? And heartache and heartbreak, right? And so you also have to be aware that, like, if God is moving you in a way that you're like, look, I'm ready for this, but you still got a joker over here who want to, keep playing games. Don't sit around and wait for folks to mature. That, that's a whole nother sermon, but also some advice there. So reach out. You can hit us up on Facebook, and we'll connect you. You can just, my cell phone number is everywhere, but you can just call that. But we definitely want to support those of you who want to get your 24 years started, or if you want to get your 2 years sharpened up or whatever. That's one of our just labors of love that we love doing. We love leaning in and helping folks um, get through some of the stuff that you got to get through as a couple. So thank you all for your prayers. I want to say that. Thank you all for your prayers to everyone that we've served at every church that we've been at, especially our Kinship family. You guys have been a gem, a joy, a help to Jamie and I. As we know that many of you pray for us, and you have been praying for us forever. Miss Beverly Ross, who is a giant in our community, who is, she we saw her at the golf course the other day, and she's one of the elders in our community, and she's prayed for us every day since we got married, and she just loved Jamie. She loves me, and she's prayed for us every day. I believe it, for 24 years. And I think back to all of our elders who've gone on to heaven, who have prayed for us and came alongside us over these 24 years and wrapped their arms around us and got us through some challenging times. I miss them terribly, especially when you hit a rut in life and you seek their wisdom. Um, Grateful for our grandparents, grateful for all of our parents, Jamie's parents, my parents, because they're examples, and Jamie's parents have been married forever as well, right? And so we've had these models around us about love, and what it looks like to allow love to endure, and to allow love not to fail. So we're grateful. Grateful for our friends, grateful for our family, grateful for the couples that we get to hang out with. Our main couple, like we said, it's just been great hanging with them, Greg and Becca, who they live in Virginia now, but they got a chance to do their wedding. And then, Greg's my younger cousin, and then to watch he and Becca be married, and then to share the journey with them, I mean, has been fun. And it's just been wonderful. To James and Shayna, thank you guys for your continued prayers for us. And um, it's just great. All my preacher friends, and to Larry and Anisha, Brandon and Cherie, and to all of them who just pour into us and help us, and we're just grateful. We wouldn't be here without you. To our brothers and sisters, our siblings, we got great brothers and sisters. Jamie and I both do, and they are encouragements to us, and we just thank you guys for um, helping us get here, and praying for us, and helping us out, and it means the world. And lastly, I have to thank God. I mean, I thank God for all of our families, my aunts. I mean, like I said, we got all this, but at the end of the day, too, it's been just great um, to be in this marriage with Jamie, but to have our marriage be open up to our 5 kids, and they see everything, right? They see the good, they see they see the neat, and they see the messy. They know when mom and dad is frustrated, and they know when times are hard. They see it all firsthand, and I just hope that in all that they see that we love God, we love each other, and we love them, and grateful for them. I mean, especially as my kids get. Let me just tell you, parenting is wonderful. Even as your kids get older, I mean, like, you're learning new things about parenting. Like, as your kids get older, and now the different conversations you can have with them, and you can sit around and you can talk about relationships even in a deeper way. There's some details that I share now that they're probably like, Dad, overshare, TMI, right? But grateful for my kids. Grateful for my kids who understand more so. My older kids especially understand more so, like the sacrifices that mom and dad made for us, even when it came to like sacrificing some of their relationship time and sacrificing some of the things that they might have wanted to do and the places we might have wanted to go. To hear your kids affirm that they now get it, like you guys kind of put some of the things you guys wanted to do not necessarily on hold, but we didn't prioritize those things. Weren't priorities. They weren't priorities. Because our kids were. And so being able to be in a space now and have our kids even pour into our relationship is amazing. Like, your kids speak God into your life and they remind you of things and they help you like, okay, operate in love, right? Operate in love. So it's been great. It's been great. And I just want to say again, thank everyone who's ever prayed for us, anyone who's ever encouraged us. To Clive and Renetta, George and Pam, these are close friends of ours who hang with us. And literally, I've got a covenant that's in my office that is signed by, I think it's 12 years ago, that was signed by George and Clive. And it's just this commitment that we've made to our families and we made to our marriages. And so I thank George and Clive for walking this out with us, and Clive and Renetta for always being a constant encouragement and support to us. It's just we're blessed, and we can't thank God enough for all of the folks who make our life great. So we love you guys, and we thank you, and we pray that love in such a way, because it's a great thing. Yeah, it's a great thing. All right, before we go today, let me pray for my wife, my family, and for you today. God, thank you so much for these 24 years of marriage to Jamie. God, thank you for just the blessing that she's been to my life and to the lives of so many. I pray for her. I lift her up to you today, God, and I just pray that you meet her at her point of need. I pray, God, that you would cover her with your protection. I pray, God, that you would fill her with your peace and your power. I pray, God, that you would comfort her with your presence. And I pray, God, today that every purpose that you have for her life will be fulfilled. I pray, God, for every endeavor that she is planning to take on. And I just pray that it will be blessed, that everywhere her feet go, everywhere she lays her hands, everywhere she opens up her mouth to speak, God, I pray that you bless it. My God, I just thank you for her. Thank you for her love for you. Thank you for her love for me. Thank you for her love for our family. And I'm just grateful, God, that I've just had the opportunity to be her friend and to be her husband for these 24 years. And I just pray that you give us many more, that you would allow us to share many more years together as we continue to live out the plans and purposes that you have for our lives. I just thank you for her, God. Heal her heart. God, I pray that you would heal her heart where there may be any pain, there may be any stress, where there may be any heartbreak, God, that you would just heal it and that you would restore it and that you would remind her that of the great plans that you have for her, not to do her harm, but to give her a future and to give her a hope. And so I just pray for my wife today, God, my friend today, and I just pray that you just lift her up, God. Lift her up, God, to the spaces that she wants to be, God. I pray that everything that she sets her mind to, that glorifies you, God, that it would be achieved. And so thank you for our beautiful children. I thank you for Savannah, for Nathan, for Caleb, for Lily, for Brooklyn. I thank you for what you're doing in their lives, what you're doing through their lives. And I pray, God, that you would just continue to be um, hedge of protection around them as new endeavors are taking place. Pray for Santana, our new daughter. I pray as she and Nathan are endeavoring to start their life together in Texas, God, I pray that you would just bless them, God, and that you would keep them from all hurt, harm, and danger, God. And I just pray for Savannah, God. I just thank you for what you're doing in her life, God. Thank you for the journey that she's on, and thank you for the steps that she's taken and the graduate school that's finishing up, God. I thank you for Caleb, and thank you for all that you're doing in his life, God. Give him safe passages. He's with friends this week, and they're traveling. I just pray that you give him what he needs. Thank you for what you're doing in Lily's life, and thank you for just everything that you're doing in her, God. Thank you for what she is growing to be and all the hopes that she has. And God, thank you for my partner in crime, Brooklyn. God, thank you for just the blessing that she is. Um, and just pray, God, that everything that she desires to do, God, you would just open every door. And then, God, I pray for all my friends on Facebook, those friends that we share life with, God. I just pray a blessing over them. I pray for the Carlos family today. And I pray, God, that you would just continue to heal them and heal us as we continue to just process the shock and the pain of losing him. I just pray that you would provide all that they need. I pray that you would just give comfort as only you can. I take comfort that the fact that your word tells us that blessed are they that mourn, for they shall be comforted. So I just ask that you comfort. And there's many folks who are grieving, many folks who have lost. And I just pray that you show up and do what you've done in our lives. Um, give peace that passes all understanding. Thank you for the friends that we share the journey with. Thank you for those who are faithful to love as we have been loved. And so thank you for this privilege today to just share a little special tribute to my wife and to thank her for 24 years of marriage and to anchor it into the fact that we know love because we know you. We thank you, and I offer this prayer in Jesus' name. Amen. Amen. All right, folks, have a wonderful Sunday. Know that we love you. Know that God loves you, and we'll talk with you soon.